Day, and now it's 7 o'clock at night, and there's a lot of other things we could all be doing right now rather than being at the chiropractor's office. But what I've learned over the last 13 years of practicing is this by far and away is the single most important visit you'll have in the office, because statistically I've analyzed it. The patients who come to this orientation do better, quicker, they spend less, they're here less, and they just understand at a much deeper level what their body is about to go through. So I want to stack the deck in everybody's favor so that you all win, and when you win, we win, because we want you to be well and do well. And I think some of the information that we're going to share with you tonight obviously has to be well worth your while, and I hope that in the next 30 to 40 minutes, however long we go here, that you're going to say, you know, I was really glad that you made me come, Dr. Larry, Dr. Les. So, myself, I'm originally from Manalapan. I played football back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, they taught us to hit with our heads. It was a mark, a badge of honor, whoever had more scuff marks on their helmet. And what they didn't know back then is the damage that was doing to our spines. And my spine wasn't right after playing ball. And I was in chiropractic school, and it was through upper cervical care that my life was changed. And at the time, there was nobody doing upper cervical work back here, and being from here, we brought it home. And so 13 years later, 120,000 plus adjustments, we're just trying to make a dent in the health of our community. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for trusting us with your health. This is our advanced healing consultation. What I learned a long time ago is that people come in, I feel like I'm on speed. We've been adjusting nonstop since 8 a.m. I literally took 30 minutes to eat a sandwich, and we go right into this. What I found is that people come in with beliefs about health. Do you mind just shutting the ringer off on that? Thanks. Health, healing, and some of those beliefs are spot on, but some of those beliefs aren't so spot on. And your beliefs about your health and your family's health are really powerful, because consciously or unconsciously, you're making decisions for your health based on what you believe. So we're going to present some information to you, and we're going to some inspiration too, and some emotion. And you don't have to agree with everything that I'm saying, even though I'm right. Those jokes. But listen with an open heart, because there may be some new concepts that you haven't been exposed to in the past. So the first, you definitely never thought of. I do, beyond a shadow of a doubt, believe we save lives with the chiropractic adjustment. What? How are you going to save a life with an adjustment? Awesome. Welcome. Come on in. It's not like if there's a wreck on Route 9 and somebody's arm is dismembered and they're splitting out blood, and you're going to bring them in here and put them on their side and adjust them, and you know they're going to save their life. It's not like an ER doctor. But what we've seen, and we see every single day, is people who have gone everywhere and tried everything, and they've just slowly watched their function in their daily living slowly deteriorate to their shell of what they once were. On the outside, no one would ever know they're suffering, but on the inside, they're just not living the quality of life that they are. And so this young girl, young lady, I started taking care of when she was in high school, probably about 9 years ago, and her mother used to drive her to the office. She had terrible migraine headaches, so bad that she was missing school and no social life. And as you would imagine with the story the doctor's going to tell you, he starts adjusting her, and the migraines poof go away, and she goes back to school, and the angels fly and the birds sing. All those things happened, and she went back to school. But really what happened next is what was shocking. She went down to Philadelphia, she went to college, she would come home on breaks, many of our college patients do, would get her adjustments, and then she graduated college. So now we're fast forwarding, and she took a job in the city working for Martha Stewart's firm. And if anybody has ever been an intern in the city or a new employee in the city, they drive it. And she was being driven about 65 to 75 hours a week, and she was under stress. So what do people do when they're under stress? Some people go to the doctor. What does the doctor do? Thank you. It's an English-speaking crowd. This is going to be great. So she got a prescription. And I came out of my office one day, and I saw Jane, her mom, sitting in the office, and I haven't seen Jane take her to the office since she was in high school. I knew something was wrong. And she gets up, and this is when we were in the other building, and she gets onto a walker. this young pretty girl and going down the hallway on a walker, and my stomach just dropped because I had no idea, maybe she was in a wreck. And so I walk into the room, and I'm fighting back the tears because like you would, you know, if you were with a child that you watch grow up. And she said, Dr. Larry, I had a really bad health month. And she said I was under a lot of stress, and instead of, you know, doing something natural, I went to the doctor, he gave me a pill, and I have a upper motor neuron lesion. It basically damaged her brain. And her legs were literally flapping uncontrollably in front of me. And as I was just fighting, I'm just saying to myself, God, I wish I educated her better. Second, Sarah, we're going to do whatever we've always done to take pressure off your central nervous system that's helped you in the past. And I didn't do anything different for her that day than you guys got tonight. We put her on her side. We did a gentle adjustment to remove the pressure off of her central nervous system. And as her legs were flapping like a clam on her side, they stopped flapping. And so let's just hear her perspective on this. Because this is a life state. Let's just see where we go with this.
I'm Sarah Gursky. I'm a brand manager for Lee & Fung.
What were your initial complaints?
I initially came to see Dr. Larry about 10 years ago because I was suffering from migraines. Then I improved after a few treatments and my migraines lessened. Then the past year I was suffering from anxiety and stress, which caused me to have tremors, which put me into the hospital. So after a month of hospitalization and being unable to walk, I came back to see Dr. Larry for treatments.
What did you do to try to help your problem that didn't work?
I went to the hospital. I went to 3 hospitals within a month period. I had spinal taps, EEGs done, but nothing seemed to help. It only made me worse with all the medicine I was on.
How did this problem affect your home, life, work, relationships, hobbies?
I had to quit my job. I was immobile. I could not walk nor feed myself for a while, nor did I have a life.
How do you feel now?
I now am able to run again, walk, and I do not have headaches currently either. And I hiked a volcano the past week.
Do you plan to continue on wellness care to stay healthy?
Of course,
Within 6 weeks of that visit on the walker, she was in Ecuador on a mission trip, hiking a volcano. And I get it, that's dramatic, like most of us are not presenting. And the reason I show you this off the bat is because where does Sarah end up if she doesn't know about upper cervical care? Does she ever go back to work? Does she ever move out of her mom's house? Does she end up on the cycle of different medications? Does she ever meet a man? Does she ever have babies? It's totally a game changer. And every day we come in here, we never know when we're going to meet the next Sarah. This is just one young girl in our community on a prescription gone bad. And so I'm not here to bash medicine. Medical doctors are great, caring women and men who serve a very important role in our society. I have family members whose lives were saved by medical doctors. And my mom's a registered nurse and created nurses for 40 years. The issue is that we consume more medicine in this country than anywhere else in the world, yet our health outcomes are very poor. And I'm saying we don't need more drugs and surgery, we need more people less sick. And we have to know when we need to call the fire department and when we need to call the contractor. And so we're going to talk about some belief systems, and there's this concept of a fixed idea or a 13th floor. And a 13th floor is a concept, a fixed idea is a concept or mental impression that someone has accepted as true regardless of evidence to the contrary. How many of you have ever stayed in a hotel or in a casino and you get into the elevator and James is shaking his head and you look at the panel and there's no 13 on the panel? Why is that? Superstition. It's unlucky. Now, can somebody show me the peer-reviewed scientific journal that studied this and says if we build a 13th floor, this building's going to fall? And what happens, James, if you're on the 14th floor in that building? You're really on the 13th. Yeah, they duped you. But you know, it's a perfect example that grown men and women will make decisions based on just, you know, things that they've been told. So why would you even why do we go to the doctor in the first place?
To get better.
To get better. Anybody else? I don't feel good. Yeah, I'm sick. Relief of symptoms. So the healthcare system is a system based on relieving your symptoms. How ridiculous would it be if you were to wake up tomorrow feeling great and call up your medical doctor, your internist, and say, hey, I feel great, I want to come in and see Dr. Bob. They'd say, you're crazy. Now, I get it. There's this push for like preventative care, and that you have men doing PSA tests and prostate exams and women doing mammographies, but that's not preventative care. That's called early detection. Very different. Hey, ladies, if you go and you get a mammography and God willing it's negative, what do they say? Come back in 2 years, we'll see if you have breast cancer. Well, doctor, what should I do over the next few years so I don't get breast cancer? Different question. It's not that they're bad men and women. It's just they're working at the bottom of the cliff because there's so many people that have fallen off that there's nobody working at the top of the cliff to see who's pushing everybody off. And that's what a wellness doctor on your team needs to do. And so we have been kind of sold that when we feel bad, we're unhealthy or sick, and when we feel good and we have no symptoms, we're healthy. And it all starts with that TV commercial, that lady running through the field of flowers because she took Allegra, right? And so we laugh about it, but this is the message that we're teaching our children. Remember when there were no drug ads on TV? You don't remember that, you're too young. The rest of us remember that. And then all of a sudden they opened that up, and now you can't watch the World Series or any television show for that matter without seeing a drug ad. Did you see in the Super Bowl that little like colon running around, that cartoon colon? It was like for like, yeah, you know the drugs. Okay, so we have a pharmacist here, and there's no disrespect. There's a time and a place, and there's life-saving drugs. There's people that wouldn't be alive if they weren't on the drugs that they're on. So we recognize that. So sometimes what has to happen is people have to earn the right not to take the medications. You can't just say, oh, I'm anti-medicine, I'm going to stop taking it and then die. But at the same token, there's 1 million Americans going to die this year from heart disease. They're not dying because they forgot to take their Lipitor. They're not dying because they're not taking their blood pressure pill. They're dying on 5, 6, 7, 8 medications. Are those medications making them healthy, or are they just making them not sick? They're just making, no drug can make somebody healthy. They can just make you not sick. Big difference. So this whole process has taught us that there's a pill for a problem. Vioxx was for arthritis, pain, and stiffness. Arthritis is no longer on the market, right, Doc? All right? And there's others now, like Celebrex, and then there's pills. We know what's Prevacid for. Prevacid's for heartburn, and our athletes endorse them. Now, a new study came out this year that if you're on a antacid proton inhibitor for more than 18 months, you have a 44% increased likelihood of having dementia. So there's an effect, but there's always a side effect. Anytime we try to intervene, there's going to be an effect and a side effect. Viagra was supposed to be a blood pressure pill. The side effect became the desired effect. It's a true story, right, Doc? Did you know that? Okay. So Allegra, and we know this. We know Relpax for migraines, and you'll never see two drugs for the same condition on the same television commercial or the same magazine, because they sell exclusivity. You're not going to see a Cialis commercial followed by a Viagra commercial. It's just not going to happen. And so Strattera for ADHD. And so this is the healthcare or the sick care system, and we consume 75% of the world's medication. Yet you'll see in a second that the World Health Organization ranks us 50th in the world in healthcare, in health outcome. So what's causing the problem? That's what I'm asking. Who's pushing the people off the cliff? Watch this. Okay, I know it's late, and I know people's bellies are rumbling, but this is going to require your attention.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13.
Yeah, cool.
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Go!
See that the whole time? It's easy to miss things you're not looking for. There's going to be a few moonwalking bears tonight. We're just getting going here. Here's the first one, and it's really, really serious. This came out of last year's Washington Post. 48,000 white women in our country have died in the last 11 years due to painkillers. Those are moms, those are aunts, those are wives, those are grandmas. You don't hear this statistic, right? You heard about the 5 people that got Ebola. And every life matters. Every life matters. But this was buried. This is according to the CDC. Between 1999 and 2000, 48,000 women have died. So when I say we save lives, I have seen so many patients through the years get off of opioid medications because they got natural care that addressed the cause of their problem. I think about how many people we've prevented from going down that path that were, when we met them, were taking NSAIDs, for Advils and leaves. I think about if those 48,000 women had knew about upper cervical care in this office or others, if they'd still be on the planet. That's like, we didn't lose that many people in Vietnam, I don't think. So this is a serious, serious issue. And what we know with the opioids is that they're leading to other problems like heroin addiction, which is a major problem now in our culture. So what starts off as a benign Advil, which has now been linked to increased risk of heart attack and stroke, on the billboard on the New Jersey Turnpike that our children see every time we go up and down. See, here's the thing. You can't say no to drugs and drug-free school zone, but these drugs are okay. It's contradiction. Anywhere there's contradiction in society, there'll be destruction. So again, we don't want anybody to be in pain, but if we're addressing cause, maybe these things aren't as necessary. So we have a healthcare crisis. 1 million people a year die from a preventable disease called cardiovascular disease. Many times the intervention, Vioxx killed 60,000 people. And according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, 187,000 to 250,000 people die per year as a result of medical error or hospital-acquired infection. We need hospitals, we need medical doctors. What I'm saying to everybody in the room is you better have a strategy so that you and your family don't have to enter into the system so much. And your sick doctor, your medical doctor, who you need to have on your team, isn't going to be the one that keeps your family healthy. That responsibility is going to fall on you to get the right information and make some great decisions. This is an expensive problem. The U.S. spends $8,600 for every man and woman on health care. 17% of our gross domestic product. Next closest country is 9%. So it's a tax. Anytime you pay your Verizon bill, go to the movies, or buy a cup of Starbucks, 17 cents on your dollar is going to pay for the sick care of the employees of that company. And we can't just throw more dollars at the system. We need more people less sick. And so 50% of all personal bankruptcies are a result of health problems. And according to the World Health Organization, we rank 50th in the world. These are moonwalking bears that nobody's talking about. And so people say, oh, you know, organic is expensive. Well, you're going to pay the doctor, pay the grocer. You might as well pay the grocer. The gym memberships are expensive. Body work is expensive. Chiropractic care costs money. Yeah, you know what? It costs money to stay well. But what you can't afford in this country is you can't afford to get sick. You can't afford to get sick. So let's turn it around now. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about the other side of the coin. How do you know if you're healthy? Nobody wants to square off with me. I'm going to be really nice and gentle tonight, I promise. Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Nothing hurts.
Nothing hurts. I feel good. Okay? You know, that's a 13th floor, and Aline is amazing, and she's really smart, educated woman. But most people think that when I feel good, I'm healthy. And how you feel has nothing to do with your health. And I want everybody in this room, and all your families, and my family, I want us all to feel good. But it doesn't mean we're healthy. Cancer, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, AIDS, osteoporosis, these are terrible chronic conditions, diabetes. These patients don't have any symptoms until either the condition has really gotten far along, or they go for a test and they find out. We all know somebody who, right? And on the flip side, we've all gotten up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, stubbed our pinky toe on the corner of the bed. It's the worst pain in the world, maybe even broke the toe, but it doesn't mean we're not healthy. So just looking at symptoms as a barometer of your health is incomplete. It's incomplete. Some people say, well, if I'm not sick, I'm healthy. Well, would you rather be smart or just not dumb? Pretty or just not ugly? Rich or just not poor? Would you rather be healthy or just not sick? So this is the way that it works. You got wellness here, you got illness here, and the thing that's obvious, if you're alive, you're on the continuum. Nothing in life is staying in the same place. Not that plant, not our pets, not our moms, and not us. If you're alive, each and every day, you're either growing or you're going the other way. And what's right in the middle of illness and wellness is what I call false wellness. This is I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. I don't need to do it. I feel good. And people go between symptom, and men are really bad at this. Symptom, not sick. Symptom, not sick. But each and every day we have to have a strategy, a conscious strategy, like you would for financial planning or the planning of your children's education. You've got to have a strategy that moves you towards wellness. If you're coasting, you're coasting. This is what happens. People look back and they 5 or 10 years pass and they go, what the heck happened to my health? I must be getting older. Why? We got a man in here, he's 89 years old, he's going skiing in Montana this year. And I have 40-year-olds that can't even go to work anymore. So age doesn't have to do with it. So what is health? Well, not my opinion. Dorland's Medical Dictionary, it's a complete state of mental, physical, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease and or infirmity. So by a show of hands, how many people in here have a complete state of mental, physical, and social well-being? I've never seen a hand go up. Because the definition is utopic. It's kind of like, are we all educated? Yeah, we all have a level of education that's more than most people in the world. Could we all in this room be more educated? Absolutely. We all have a level of health that's greater than a lot of people in this world. And definitely a lot of people down the road in the hospital. Could we all be healthier? So you see, health is not a destination. It's not an event. You're not going to wake up one day or pay a doctor one day and get healthy. It's just not going to happen. I've seen hundreds of people heal. It is a process. But I got a secret for you. It's not a secret. Disease is not an event. It's a process too. You don't wake up one day sick or with problems. That was a process. The man who died on the tennis court today, God forbid, woke up that day, put his tennis shoes on, and felt really good that morning. He didn't just have a problem on the tennis court. He had a disease process going on in his body for years that he just wasn't aware of. So I feel good, right? And this is why we need to get tested. People need to check us. So where does health come from? I wish all you had to do was get adjusted and be healthy, and it's not as simple as that. It's a big part of it, which you'll see in a second. But I break it down to 5 facets or 5 pillars. We need to have good nutrition. If you're in pain and if you're tired, start to hydrate. Yeah, water is nutrition. If that plant starts to wilt or the dog is starting to get lethargic, the first thing you do is water the plant or check the dog's bowl. Guess what? You're animals. Yes, we're human beings, but we're biology. And every single process in your body requires water to function. And guess what the body will do when you're dehydrated? It will pull water from less important places, your skeletal muscle, and bring it into the more vital places so that you stay alive. And here's the deal. If you don't drink water, you don't feel thirsty. That's what happens with geriatrics. So you need to drink to get those thirst receptors going. If there's one supplement that we all need to be taking, and I give it to my children, 16 months and 4 years old, omega-3 fish oil. You'd have to eat about 45 fish a week and their skin to get the oils that you need. It's anti-inflammatory. It will work better than Vioxx and it won't kill you. In fact, it's been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease and dementia. These are the fats that line your brain and all the nerves. So if you have nerve symptoms, headaches, migraines, pain going down your arm or leg, you need to get on omega-3 these are the fats that your brain and body need. And you need to eat clean. You need to shop around the outside of the grocery store. Eat organic where possible. Know about the clean 15 that doesn't need to be organic, but know about the dirty dozen fruits and vegetables that need to be organic. And look at what you're putting on your body. If it goes on your body, it goes in your body. Start to reduce the toxic burden on your nervous system. Don't use Fantastic to clean your counter. Use vinegar. Your children eat off the counter. You don't use chemicals. It goes in their body. Proper rest and sleep. Make sure you've got the right pillows. Dr. Lee brought her pillows in. We're going to have pillow talk after the talk tonight. Make sure you have the right pillow. I'll look at all your pillows and give you... But the main thing, you need to be sleeping on your back or your side, not your stomach. You need, if you're a back sleeper, you need to have a thin pillow that's not pushing you forward. Sam, can you get me a pillow? The curved pillows work really good because a lot of us have lost the curve in our neck, and we can get the thick part of the pillow. Take that away. Thick part of the pillow down here so that your head can fall into the hole. These work really good, these pillows. And then when you're on your side, you want enough pillow to fill the space between your mattress and your neck so you're not like this or not like bunching up like this all night, okay? So these things matter. You spend 6 to 8 hours there, and the moms only spend 2 hours at a time there, but these things matter. Good sleep is important to heal, and good sleep between 10 and 12 is really important to heal. There's something that happens with the circadian rhythms and the hormones of the body that your best healing time is sleep before midnight. Positive mental attitude. How many people believe that your thoughts change your physiology? Absolutely. Nobody would leave here today saying, I think I'm going to get cancer and die. You would never say it. But on the flip side, you know that an ulcer is a physical manifestation of a mental stress. So I've noticed that patients who spend time with people who build them up and support them and have a positive expectation for their future. My baby has a baby cold. He's like 16 months old, he has a baby cold, and I got up this morning, I said to my wife, hey, Easton looks better. And she said, you always say that when they have a cold. I said, well, that's all I see is them getting better. What do you see for yourself? Do you see that as you get older and older, you're going to get sicker and sicker and need more and more doctors and have more and more pills? Some people have that belief system. Some people believe that their body has an unbelievable ability to heal and that they can do better than they are. They just need to make some change. And you need to have proper movement and exercise. And we can talk individually about what makes sense there. So let's teach you chiropractic. That's not chiropractic, that's health class, 7th grade. Yeah, this is how chiropractic starts. You have 2 cells that have intelligence within them. Those 2 cells that you can't even see with your eyes have all of the intelligence to make a beautiful baby. Isn't that incredible? Those 2 cells come together and they start to divide. And if you looked at a fetal ultrasound, you would see a comma, not a lollipop. And that comma is the neural streak, which is the central nervous system, which is going to run the growth and development of that embryo into a fetus, into a baby, into a child, into a man or a woman. And so the brain is then communicating down the spinal cord to all of the vital organs of the body, helping them grow and develop. So then the cardiac, respiratory, liver, spleen, kidneys, bladder form. Then God, or nature, whatever you believe in, encased this most important system in bone. It's the only system encased in bone. Your skull protects your brain, and your spine protects your spinal cord. And so somewhere along the line, in the 80s, my profession lost its way, and they started telling the public we're the back and neck doctors. And yes, we take care of a lot of people who have achy backs and necks, and we do really good at it. But we work with the spine to affect the central nervous system. If your doctor gives you a shot in the butt, he's not a butt doctor. Okay? He's using the butt to get to the bloodstream. We use the top of your neck to get to your central nervous system. And since it's running the growth and development of a child, it's also responsible for running the way that your body works and heals. So this is the way it works. So at any given point in the day, there are literally 11 trillion bits of information filing down from your brain through your spinal cord to your thyroid gland, your lacrimal glands, your lungs, your heart, your kidneys, your stomach, your spleen, your bladder, your reproductive organs, your testes, your ovaries. Everything is coming down from the brain, and at the same given time, there's 11 trillion bits of information running through. Now, if I was going to anoint you all chiropractors, and you're going to come in tomorrow and adjust everybody, and I say you can only adjust one area. Leverage is doing the least amount of effort and have the most amount of impact. Where would you work? Where's the common area that all those messages are coming through? The brainstem, yeah, the upper neck. When Christopher Reeves severed his spinal cord at C2, did he just have headaches? No, he lost the control and the health of his body, the function of his body, from that point down, and ultimately he lost his life sooner than he should. He couldn't breathe, couldn't use his legs, definitely couldn't use his reproductive organs. What if you had nerve pressure in your upper neck from accidents, injuries, being a student, being a mom, in the same area of Christopher Reeves, but to 1/100th of a degree? Could it start to affect the way the body works and functions? Absolutely. Does it make sense If you're young, does it make sense to make sure this area is clear as you grow and develop? If you're old and you have lots of diseases, does it make sense to make sure this area is clear? Yeah, absolutely. So who needs this? Everybody needs it. So your body is the ability to self-heal and self-regulate. The central nervous system is responsible for the control of the entire process, every organ, cell, and tissue. If something was interfering with your central nervous system, would you be healthier or sicker? Sicker. As a chiropractor, we remove nerve interference, period. What about migraines? Nope. What about back pain? Nope. What about arm pain? Nope. What about asthma? Nope. What about ADD? Nope. But Dr. Larry, all these people come, I saw on your website, and they get better from these things. You come as a result of your symptoms, because that's how we've been trained. You get better because we've taken pressure off the central nervous system. Now, it sounds really simple on the surface, the concept. It's not simple to pull off, and the science behind it is not easy. We don't do a different adjustment for the nonverbal autistic boy than we do for the 80-year-old grandpa who has sciatica coming down his leg. We correct the spine, and we allow the body to do what it's going to do. I got news for you. I've seen a lot of people heal. Healing is never an outside-in process. Everybody's looking for the next best treatment, the next best doctor, the next best pill. It is always an inside-out process. If I ask a room of 100 people, who's healthier today than they were 5 years ago, and I always see a few hands go up, it's not that they found this miracle drug. It's that they made some sort of change in their life. And typically, healing is not an adding in thing, it's a removal thing. So it's like being in a hot air balloon. You've got to dump the weight off the side and then your balloon goes up. For most of us, we need to remove what's interfering with our body's ability to heal. So healing is a universal law. What's a universal law? It's a law anywhere on the planet, whether you believe it or not. Gravity is a universal law. Whether you believe in gravity or not, you're in New Zealand or China or New Jersey. If you jump off a roof, you fall. Well, how come this pen isn't falling? You can interfere with the law. How come, Dr. Larry, if the body's supposed to be so great and so self-healing and regulating, why are there so many people sick and suffering? There's so many people that are interfering with their body's ability to heal. So you can have interference in chemical interference, in toxicity that needs to be removed. You can have physical interference in subluxation or misalignment or faulty movement patterns and postures. You can have mental or emotional interference of bad relationship, job, mental stress that's interfering with the body's ability to heal. And everybody's looking to add something on to that rather than seeing what they need to take out to allow their body to rise. When's the most common time we injure our nervous system? Did anybody see that? It's a subliminal message. What is it? Yeah, birth. Birth. This is a really important conversation. I get it. You've all been born, so this doesn't affect you. But it does affect you because you either have children, nieces, nephews, or will have children, or you have grandchildren. It's a lot easier to keep a healthy spine healthy than to fix an old spine. It does, you know, it's funny, as soon as my kids pop teeth, my wife rushes them off to the pediatric dentist, and I go, honey, you know they're not going to keep those teeth. But it makes sense. We're not going to wait till our kids need 4 root canals and are dying in pain to get them dental care. Why? Well, let's just wait till the kids get herniated discs, suffer from migraines like you, and then we'll take them to a chiropractor. It doesn't make any sense. And so what happens at birth is the baby is being pulled out of mom. The doctor's doing what they're trained to do. They're not trying to hurt the baby. The doctors care about the baby. The doctors care about the mom. But 180-degree turn of the neck to clear the second shoulder in a non-complicated delivery with a mother on her back with an epidural. If I did that to your neck tonight, you're not coming back, I promise you. Like, this guy hurt me. This baby, if I handed you a baby, you would say, hold the head, hold the head, hold the head, right? Right. Because they don't have support. Yet, 3 hours before, the doctor just did this to pull baby out. Well, my baby was born with cesarean. Well, mine wasn't. Babies with cesarean 90% of the time have a misalignment because they can use, well, forceps vacuum, 60 pounds of axial traction to pull a baby out once they've entered the pelvic inlet. And there was a study that came out in Journal of Pediatrics last year. Cesarean-born babies are more likely to develop chronic diseases like asthma, allergies, and even leukemia. That's crazy. The World Health Organization says 10% of our births should be cesarean for medical emergency, The United States is 33% and projected to go to 50%. Moonwalking bear, nobody saw it, nobody's talking about it. I'm here instead of being home right now to share this information with you because maybe one day you'll have a baby or someone you love with. Normal cesarean. Think of the spine, think of the nervous system that's going to run that baby's growth and development.
Make it cute for the camera.
Docs are joking. That's the process. That's uncomplicated. So when you saw your x-rays and you saw changes on your x-ray, you couldn't remember a fall or an accident or an injury and why you have no curve in your neck and there's degeneration in your neck. Is it possible your first misalignment happened then and you just don't remember it? It's very possible. And then for those of us who do have little kids, we know that there's a million times where, especially when they're first trying to sit up, that they fall back and hit their head. Then they're starting to walk and they're tumbling. So we all fell off the couch and off the ottoman and off the swing set. And Dad rubbed some dirt on it, kicked us in the butt, and we got back in there. Just because there's no break or bleed doesn't mean there's no injury. We had a patient who just got hit by a car. She went to the ER. There's no break. There's no puncture of her lung. They sent her home. They sent her home. And I see these patients 10 or 15 years later, and they've got all kinds of problems, and we go back in their history, and they're not even making the connection between the early injury. The children are sick. This is the sickest generation of children in our country's history. And it's not because of infectious disease. 1 in 11 children have asthma, $50 billion in cost to manage it. Not to treat it, not to cure it, to manage it. $3,300, that's supposed to be $5 billion, not $50 billion. That's a big number. It is $50 billion. $3,300 per person per year with that. ADHD, 1 in 8 boys, and the most common drug prescribed is in the same class as cocaine. They give amphetamine to slow them down. 20% of high school boys are on an ADHD drug. According to a New York Times article last year, 1 in 10 children have cirrhosis of the liver, fatty liver disease from toxicity. 30 years ago, we only saw that in end-stage alcoholics. 20%, 1 in 5 adults have fatty liver. You will start hearing about Aunt Bertha and Aunt Gilda they found cirrhosis of the liver, but I never drink alcohol. It's just, the liver is a detox organ. It's from the toxicity in our environment. 1 in 68 boys, 1 in 42 are now autistic, 1 in 28 in New Jersey. That means for every school bus, there's 2 children who are autistic now. You know what that does to a family? It rips it apart. Rips it apart. 1 in 5 children have a mental illness, according to the CDC. Have a 3-letter name, label on them for the rest of their life. What does that do for their growth and development, self-esteem? These are all issues that can be helped, not treated, but helped with chiropractic care. So, this is the way it works. Your body has an alignment, good or bad, and when it's aligned, and the nervous system, the brain can communicate with the body, the nervous system functions right, and you have great health. Then something that comes along, the boogeyman, called subluxation. That misaligns the spine and interferes with the nervous system. It leads to malfunctioning of the tissues, and it leads to dis-ease, not disease, dis-ease. The body just doesn't function the way that it once did. And then finally the symptoms show up, and you notice the commercial, and you call the doctor. And this is where the medical profession shines. They can name and treat it, name and treat it, name and treat it. We're saying there's a process, and we're the only licensed primary care physician in the world that's trained to detect and correct nerve interference subluxation. How many of you have been to the doctor in the last year, not including us? Did he or she look at your nervous system? It only controls and coordinates every organ, cell, and tissue of your body. Well, they looked at my blood. Well, your blood's like a report card. It tells us about where you've been and where you are. It's important. We need to do blood work. But it doesn't tell us the whole picture. We're a nerve-based profession, they're a blood-based profession. This is where we work. So what's subluxation, Dr. Larry? Well, it's a $10 word for stress. Anybody got it? Nobody's got physical stress because you all work out 5 to 6 times a day, have a Pilates reformer in your living room and a trainer named Rolf. And none of us have emotional stress. Are you married? You got kids? Mortgages and bills and finances, and you watch the 11 o'clock news. There's stress. And chemical stress. None of us have chemical stress because we all live in New Jersey, breathe the clean New Jersey air, drink the clean New Jersey water, and we're never exposed to any chemicals, insecticides, or pesticides. So stress is part of modern life, and I believe that chiropractic came along in 1895 from God when human beings, our lives are about to change. It's a way to offset lifestyle stress. It's an offset to the system. Stress affects your nervous system. Everybody would agree with that, right? You're getting on my nerves. And what happens when the body's under stress? It goes into fight or flight. The muscles tighten. Our focus and concentration and memory gets affected. If you're fighting a tiger, which we don't have tiger, we have mortgages, do you need a digestive system? No, you don't need a digestive system. So now you have irritable bowel or constipation or diarrhea or yes and yes. Do you need a libido? No, so you have no sex drive. We need Viagra because we're under stress. We're so stressed, we can't have sex. Or our blood pressure goes up. Or our muscles tighten because our body's being prepared to fight or run, but there's no tiger. And what the adjustment does is it can't take the stress out of your life, but it shuts off the fight or flight system, turns on the feed or breathe system, the rest and digest system, the parasympathetic nervous system. Bet your doctor never stayed late to teach you that. It all lives here in the upper neck. So this is why we work in the upper neck. So you actually have a hole in your head, your dad was right. And underneath that hole is your atlas vertebrae. It's a unique vertebrae. It has no disc above it or below it. It's freely mobile. That's why it lets your head spin 180 degrees, or it should. And it spins on the axis, C2. And because it's freely mobile and doesn't have a disc above and below, it doesn't have these funny interlocking joints, it's the first and easiest vertebrae to misalign. Think about the baby. And so once the atlas misaligns, you don't walk around like this. Your body is going to start to contort itself to get the eyes level with the horizon. And the posture starts to break down. There was just an astronaut in space for a year. Did you hear about that? He grew by 2 inches. Why? Because he had gravity off of his spine. Within 2 days being back on planet Earth, Scott Kelly's spine went back to his normal height. That's the effect that gravity's having on your spine. Everybody's worried about gluten, measles, and Zika virus. What you need to be worried about is gravity. It's affecting your health. And if I could do an adjustment and then send you up to the moon until your next adjustment, that would be great, but we can't do that. So what happens is, and we laugh about it, but this is actually very serious. You've had 10, 20, 30, 50 traumas to your spine over your life. Your body goes off center, it turns, gravity works on it, almost like a Pepsi can, right? You take it and you twist it and it compresses, and the body compresses. You don't have any symptoms, you're just walking around like this, and you don't even realize it until we took a picture with an iPad. It leads to faulty movement patterns, leads to excessive wear and tear, and all of a sudden the symptom shows up, or maybe a nerve gets pinched. And you go to the doctor and they take an MRI or they take an X-ray and they go, there it is. It's the degenerated joint, right there. It must be old age. Well, how old are the other ones? They're the same age. Why does one knee go before the other knee? It's mechanics. It's the most ridiculous thing. It's mechanics. Whichever joints are bearing the more load are going to degenerate and wear quicker. So everybody's trying to treat the disc and the nerve, but what we need to treat is the initial trauma, then compression, then compensation that locked us in. Well, I just got adjusted 4 times. Why do I still have migraines that I've had for the last 8 or 9 years? Come on. Come on. You're not going to fix it in one visit. And even when we do fix it, you're not going to fix it forever. Even if I get $10,000 braces, I'm still going to have to brush and floss and take care of them because I'm still going to eat. And you're still going to be on this planet, and you're still going to have stress. And even if we take all of the twist out of the Pepsi can, it still has wrinkles, right? And it has a tendency to want to collapse back down. But what we can do is get the compression out of the spine, stabilize it, and get it to a point where it can maintain itself against gravity. There's 80,000 chiropractors. There's only 2,000 of us that look at the spine this way. This is a very progressive form of chiropractic. I'm very proud to be a part of it. The other type of chiropractic, as great as it has been, and it's helped a lot of people, and it still does, it's like using a rotary phone. It just hasn't changed since 1950. You can still call California with a rotary phone, but you need to know you're getting an advanced type of care. And so when the spine buckles and compresses, you start seeing these curves. Scoliosis, high shoulders, high hips. What bone? I saw an 11-year-old today with us. What bone's out of place? They're all out of place. We don't have to push this one in. He's compressed. We got to decompress him. And so every time we adjust you at the top of your head, we are taking, it's like a jack-in-the-box in the box. What do you got to do? You got to take the latch off the box so the jack-in-the-box pops up. But instead of having one latch on your spine, you got about 30 or 40. And everything connects here. And as we release that, the compression comes out of the spine and pressure comes off the nervous system. And the most exciting this is the process. This is a person that I evaluated in 2012. She lives in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. She couldn't get here for the care she needed. Her spine was straight, but she had fibromyalgia and disc herniations. This is last November, 2015. Things got worse. She can't work, she can't walk. And she said, "Can you help me now, doc?" And I said, "No, I can't, because look what happened to her spine in 2.5 years. It completely collapsed under the force of gravity." That's how fast it can go. I had another gentleman who did amazing here, and he stopped, and 11 months later, his spine collapsed. So it can go that fast. It's very hard once it gets to this point to help this person. You're just basically patching them and managing them, rather than here, we had a lot of great anatomy to work with. So, I was watching the Super Bowl. Everybody know who this is? Walter Payton. Remember Walter Payton? Played for the Bears? I was watching the Super Bowl, and on ESPN right before they were doing a documentary on the '85 Bears. And Dr. Damadian is the medical doctor who invented the MRI unit. So he's like the Thomas Edison of medicine. And what he now invented was a video MRI. I know some of you have seen this. A video MRI that can actually show the flow of cerebral spinal fluid to and from the brain through the upper neck. And what they're finding 100% of the time in patients with MS, Parkinson's, ALS, and CTE that the football players have, is that they have a misalignment in their upper neck that's blocking the flow of cerebral spinal fluid. It's backing up into their brain, causing lesions on the brain. Dr. Damadian, the inventor of the MRI, came out and said the underlying cause of MS, Parkinson's, and ALS and neurodegenerative diseases is an uncorrected upper cervical misalignment. That's not an opinion, this is man. And so what they now can see is when they put them back in the machine after the correction, all the fluid drains. The shape of the brain changes. This is Jim Mcmahon, the quarterback of the '85 Bears, who's working with Dr. Damadian, an upper cervical doctor in New York, talking about it on ESPN last month.
One day, maybe 3 months before he killed himself. And to me, he was the same old day, whether he was a little more quiet than he usually is. He talked to me about it. He said, "Matt, it was frustrating to get in my car to go pick up my kids, and I can't figure out where their school is, or I can't figure out how to get home." But I would have never in a million years thought he could do that to himself. And then I started having the same problems. Bad headaches, pressure on my skull. I couldn't see very well, I couldn't talk very well. All I wanted to do was lay down, because my head was just constantly pounding. The pain had gotten so bad where if I had had it again, I wouldn't have been here. And these two doctors from New York called me and said, "Hey, we think we can help you. We think we know what's going on." I said, "Let's do it."
Jim was diagnosed with early onset dementia. He had been complaining about a brain fog, as he described it, as well as he described it, a headache where he felt like ice picking on both sides of his brain.
While most concussion studies are focused on the brain, Mcmahon's team traces the effects of CTE directly to the upper spine, having found that neck misalignment can block the flow of spinal fluid and pull toxic proteins directly onto the brain.
Spinal fluid is white. That's the spinal cord. This is the spinal column. What you're seeing is a narrowing of the opening where the spinal fluid is supposed to come through.
Most of the time when you're having head problems, that's all they look at is the head. These guys were smart enough to at least look below the head at the neck and see if there was a problem somewhere. And they found my problem. They're not going to be able to reverse the damage. Like I said, that stuff was sitting in there for 20 years. So how much it ate away at my brain, I don't know.
Using detailed images captured by the MRI scans, Mcmahon regularly receives targeted adjustments, clearing the blockage and restoring the flow of spinal fluid.
This instrument is going to carry a gentle mechanical tapping that is just lightly going to put those bones right there, continue with the vision. Okay. Going to sit back up.
First time they did this procedure, within 2 minutes, it was like the toilet flush. I could feel the stuff actually leaving my brain. And my eyes cleared up, my speech cleared up.
The left is before, the right is after. So you see how much there is there? See how there's less up here? Instead of all this white stuff being there, we're seeing more brain tissue than fluid. So it's already starting to drain. Over the next several days, it'll do.
What damage is done is done. I can't reverse that. But what these guys do for me, they keep me from having these bad pains, having these suicidal thoughts, having me function fairly normally while I can.
They save lives. Think about Junior Seau, right? The football player that played for the San Diego Chargers that just killed himself. So this is a really big thing. We knew about these mechanisms for years. We now have the technology to show it. The unfortunate thing is a moonwalking bear. Most of the people that you know who are sick and suffering don't even know that this exists, much like you didn't probably when you woke up this morning, or at least before you met us. So it's the biggest concept in healthcare that I know that they won't hear on TV. Well, now maybe they will, but they won't hear from their doctor, that's for sure. So everybody's response is individual. Some of you have been here for a couple of weeks, you're still struggling. Some of you have been here for a couple of visits and you're already noticing positive changes. What I can tell you is sometimes when you're sitting on the grass, you don't notice it growing. But instead of looking at your response in this early phase of care, visit to visit, we're going to look at it week to week or month to month. And after you get through this first relief phase of care, the most important phase of your care, and I bet the farm on this, is the second phase, which is stabilization care. So, like Jim Mcmahon just said, there's damage in there that's irreversible. And you're still in life. You need to stabilize the spine to be able to allow it to heal fully mend. It's like leaving the, how many people have known somebody who has a broken bone in their foot, it doesn't hurt anymore, but they got to wear the boot for another 6 weeks, right? Because you've got to allow the tissues to actually stabilize and heal. And then most of the people that you'll see shuffling in and out the door, about 85% of them, are what we call maintenance care. They're not coming to fix a problem, they're coming to create a solution. And this is true health care. This is maintaining the integrity of the spine and the nervous system as this offset for lifestyle stress. It is the best health insurance you can buy, I can promise you that. So as we end here today, we want to, what time is it?
7:49.
Cool, I'm going to end in 2 minutes here. This hallway changed my life. Now Dr. Puro knows because he went to school here. This is the C Wing at Life University. And I was actually a few months into school and I was going to drop out of chiropractic school. I thought it was all BS. You know, I like the story, the philosophy that you're hearing here tonight, but I just wasn't getting the results. And being from Jersey, like, oh, you, show me, right? And I'm telling my tale of woe to a young lady right here. To this day, I don't know who she is. And she said, before you do anything drastic, I remember calling mom and dad and saying, Mom, Dad, I made the wrong decision. I'm going to transfer to become a pharmacist or an occupational therapist or a physical therapist or a medical doctor. And this young lady said, go listen to this upper cervical doctor speak on campus. And I went, I said, I'll go to the meeting, and I went, and this doctor who ended up becoming my mentor named Russell Friedman, he didn't speak. He brought 6 of his patients onto campus on a Wednesday night, a meeting like this, and they told these miraculous recovery stories like Sarah or Jim McMahon. And I said, okay, sounds good, but you still got to show me. And I went in, I became a patient. And very quickly, actually very quickly, after the first adjustment, from my personal experience, I knew that something dramatic had just happened to my spine, and for the first time in years, I actually felt right. And I went through care in his office, and I was attracted to the science and the technology, and he was seeing patients from all over the world. And I begged him at that time, he wasn't having interns, I begged him to let me shadow him, and I did. And 15 years later, I sit on his board for the technique. Dr. Puro, who just joined our practice, studied directly under Dr. Friedman, and so did Dr. Glass. We all kind of came out of the same office. And I think about that day, if that young lady doesn't say something to me, it changed my life. I mean, it's not about me, it's about the 120,000 adjustments we've done and the thousands of lives that we have helped and will help. As a result of her telling me about upper cervical, she didn't bite her tongue. So you never know how far-reaching something you say today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. There's a few things that we're going to ask you to do as patients here. We're going to ask you to come with a great attitude. We're going to ask you to keep your appointments. We're going to ask you to come to this orientation, which you're done, you did it. But we're also going to ask you to share. We're going to ask you to share. Now, the truth is that we're here. We're here to serve you, and to better serve you, we take care of your loved ones. So obviously, we've seen it. We've seen men and women grow together, and they grow healthy and stay healthy together. And we've also seen the wife take care of herself and the husband not, and they do this, their relationship. And so we know a healthy family is worth its weight in gold.